Over-optimism bias is our tendency to be over-optimistic about the outcome of planned actions, overestimating the likelihood of positive events and underestimate the likelihood of negative ones. To understand over-optimism bias, let's start with optimism. Optimism, in essence, is our inclination to look on the bright side of life. There are two categories of optimism: dispositional optimism and attribution-style optimism. Dispositional optimism is an inherent tendency to expect good things to happen. It's like wearing rose-colored glasses, a lens that casts everything in a favorable light. People with the optimistic disposition are not just hopeful, their worldview is consistently more positive. They see opportunities where others may see obstacles. Attribution-style optimism is a type of optimism that comes from how we explain prior events. If we believe that success is due to our effort and failure is a result of external factors, we are exercising attribution-style optimism. It's the conviction that where there is a will, there is a way. Now, let's look at the neuroscience behind optimism. The prefrontal cortex and the amygdala play a key role in shaping optimistic beliefs. The prefrontal cortex is instrumental in our ability to project ourselves into the future. It enables us to stimulate different scenarios, weigh possible outcomes, and evaluate risks. For an optimist, the prefrontal cortex is able to envision positive future events more vividly. Moreover, the orbital prefrontal cortex, a part of the prefrontal cortex, is particularly associated with reward processing. It evaluates the value of expected rewards and integrating this information with the current needs and goals. For an optimist, the orbital frontal cortex is associated with a greater focus on potential gains rather than losses. As a result, optimists make decisions that align with positive expectations. But what separates an optimist from a pessimist? The pessimist often anticipates failure, adopting an ominous belief that anything can go wrong will go wrong. Winston Churchill put it succinctly: a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Optimism is not just a mindset, it has tangible health benefits. Optimists are less likely to suffer from heart attacks and live longer. Their probability of reaching the age of 85 is 50 to 70% greater than pessimists. The stress reduction effect of optimism is possibly mediated through the endocrine system and immune responses, suggesting a profound mind and body connection. What happens when this optimism goes too far? Over-optimism bias is an exaggerated form of optimism where people overestimate the likelihood of positive outcomes and underestimate the negative ones. It's like the newlyweds cannot fathom divorce, the drivers who think they are invincible on the road, or the parents who see unparalleled genius in their own children. For newlyweds, the world is theirs, and the word divorce is as foreign to them as a distant land. They are caught in a spell where love conquers all, and they are invincible in their union. Statistically, many marriages do end in divorce. The average divorce rate in the United States has been around 40% to 50%. Some drivers think accident statistics and cautionary tales are for other people, not them. They know every twist and turn of the road, every detail of their vehicle, but perhaps they overestimate their immunity to the dangers of the road. For parents, they look upon their children with pride and unbounded hope. Their children's scribbles are not just doodles, they are the strokes of a budding genius. A simple melody hummed is the sign of a future Mozart. In their eyes, their children's talents are endless. The future is bright and uncharted. Is this over-optimism bias or simply the manifestation of boundless love and faith? Next, picture yourself setting out on a new venture. The goals are set high and the motivation is burning, and the success seems not just possible but inevitable. We've all been there, charting our course with a mix of determination and perhaps a sprinkle of overconfidence. It's our human nature to see ourselves as special, to believe that we can beat the odds, and to occasionally overestimate our own success. Over-optimism is associated with selective information processing in our brains. Here is how it happens. Over-optimists display selective attention to positive information while disregarding negative information. Selective attention essentially filters the information that gets processed, amplifying the positive information and minimizing the negative ones. Moreover, anterior cingulate cortex is a brain region that is central to error detection and conflict monitoring. It functions as a sort of internal warning system for potential risk. When over-optimism takes a hold, the anterior cingulate cortex may not function as effectively. The usual red flags that signal potential pitfalls are ignored or downplayed, leading to an underestimation of risk and overestimation of rewards. Now, recall your own experience of embarking on a new project, whether it's a home renovation, planning a vacation, or launching your own business. Your mind brims with vivid images of success. Timelines seem clear, budgets reasonable, and potential problems manageable. You can almost taste victory, and it's exhilarating. But then reality sets in. What you thought would take a week stretches into a month. The budget that seems sufficient now feels like a mockery. How did this happen? Under the spell of over-optimism, you never accounted for the distractions and other opportunities that would target your attention, and those unexpected twists and turns that you never saw coming. Optimism, that gold glow that inspires us to strive, to hope, to dream, has a dark side. It's associated with dishonest behavior. Honesty, it's not simply a moral virtue, it's a cognitive battle, a wrestling match between our selfish impulses and the self-control required to overcome them. When we resist the temptation of dishonesty, we are engaging cognitive muscles of self-control that requires real effort. It's like a mental workout, and sometimes we are more prepared for it than others. With optimism, our mental state is filled with thoughts with positivity and confidence. And optimism also gives us more cognitive flexibility, which is the mental ability to adapt and shift our thinking and behavior in response to changing circumstances, situations, or tasks. It allows us to consider multiple perspectives, generate alternative solutions, reframe and rationalize our behavior, sometimes in ways that bend the rules. Imagine standing at a crossroads with honesty on one path and temptation on the other. Optimism can be the wind that nudges you toward the path that you otherwise resist. Winning a competition does more than boost your ego. It can also make you more vulnerable to dishonest behavior in an entirely unrelated task. It's as if that winning glow blinds you to ethical boundaries, even if just momentarily. On the other hand, losing a competition may have a protective effect. The humility and reflection that often accompany defeat can function as safeguards against subsequent dishonest behavior. The relationship between optimism and dishonesty can also sway markets and shake economies. When optimism soars, it can lead to hasty, reckless investment decisions. It's a fervor, a gold rush mentality that infects investors and markets alike. This wave of optimism can erode honesty. In a climate of unchecked confidence, corruption finds fertile ground and deception can flourish. Like a fever that must break, this surge of optimism and its accompanying excesses can only sustain itself for so long. Panic and pessimism eventually kick in, triggering recession, and the cycle begins anew. Optimism is a double-edged sword. On one side, it empowers us, fuels our dreams, and emboldens us to take risk. It helps us bounce back from adversity and inspires us to see a world filled with possibility. It's an ally in our personal and professional pursuits, driving innovation and resistance. But as we've discovered, the very cognitive flexibility that allows us to envision success can also lead us down the path of dishonesty and rationalization. The glow of victory can momentarily eclipse our ethical compass, leading us into choices we might later regret. And on a grander scale, unchecked optimism can fuel reckless investment, corruption, and even economic instability. Start observing your decision-making process and those of others around you. See if you can spot instances of over-optimism bias. Please feel free to share your comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.